Hello and welcome back to Citizen Speak. My name is Garrett Martin. Thank you so much for listening today. So let's talk about President Obama's speeches the other day, about how his executive action is going to help reduce the number of mass shootings or the number of suicides. This comes straight from the White House's website, and this is bits and pieces are taken from President Obama's speeches, but ultimately it's broken down from his transcript. President Obama says, if you're in the business of selling firearms, you must get a license and conduct background checks. And this is referring to if you sell online, if you sell at a gun show, if you sell at a store, you got to get a certain license, and then you got to do your background checks. Because we have far too many people out there who are going to gun shows, who are going online, who have criminal records, and they are getting these guns that people say, oh, well, the criminals are going to get them anyway. Well, if you make everybody do a background check on everybody that they sell a gun to, we can kind of reduce the number of criminals who go out and buy guns through these loopholes that they can find. The administration is also proposing to invest $500 million into increased access to mental health care. And this is wonderful. I think that there is way too much stigma on mental health care as it is. We still kind of have that 40s dad mentality where, hey, just suck it up. Just walk it off. Be a man, toughen up. Well, we're finding out that when we do this, when we have this mentality, we have people who have unhealthy lifestyles or who maybe go out and shoot up a school or shoot up a church. If we make it okay and we promote mental health treatment, then we can get people who actually need help and get them to help instead of just shoving them off in a corner and saying, suck it up, you'll be all right. Another thing is that the president has directed the Department of Defense and the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, to conduct and sponsor research into gun safety technology. And this is a great idea. We need to make it so that way if you're not the owner of the gun or maybe you're a kid, you're not going to be able to just go and pull the trigger. And a lot of people, they'll go, oh, well, we already have gun locks. We already have gun safes. Why don't people just throw it in there? That's a great point. Why don't they? Why do we have to listen to story after story after story? Even in 2015 alone, there are so many kids who went into their parents' closet, got it in the shoebox, pulled out the pistol, or pulled out the shotgun, and either shot themselves or another sibling or someone else in the house. Why do we continue to have stories like this if we already have the technology? If we already have the ability and the means to stop this, why hasn't it been stopped? Well, then the rebuttal to that would be, oh, well, you just got people who aren't actually that responsible with their guns. Oh, okay. So then maybe let's have people who buy guns go to classes. Or try to suggest further or require a gun lock be sold with a gun. That would work too. But President Obama in his speech, he said that, we have pill bottles that make it harder for kids to get into. We have cell phones where you need to use your fingerprint or your thumbprint in order to unlock it. And if you don't have the right fingerprint, sorry, Charlie, you're not getting in that phone. So we can apply things like this to weaponry, to our hunting rifles or our pistols or our shotguns, or to Bubba's assault rifle if he so chooses to have one. And I joke there. I don't mean that everybody who has an assault rifle is some hillbilly who wants to overthrow the government like the Al-Qaeda. We had a ban on assault rifles for a while. We'll get into that a little bit later. Another thing that President Obama had said, and this is really interesting, is that 1,333 guns were recovered in criminal investigations each year, and they were tracked back to a licensee that claimed it never received the gun, even though it was never reported lost or stolen either. Now, licensees must report guns missing or stolen from the inventory regardless of what happens. And this is really great. One of the reasons why guns are so prevalent amongst criminals and why they're being recovered so heavily when people are arrested in Chicago is because those guns are actually stolen from other states that have looser gun laws. But in cities like Chicago that have strict gun laws, or states like Illinois that have strict gun laws, we see that less guns are not reported missing, or we have less guns that are sold to the wrong people in these states. So we have this ability to track these guns if they're reported. But if nobody's reporting them, then hey, sorry, buddy, it's just out there. But now we have people who have to report it, and that's going to be great. I commend this regulation, and I hope that everybody else backs this as well. I know that people won't because they think that it's chipping away at their rights, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. The FBI will hire 230 more people to help with background checks. And that's fantastic. I love that the FBI is going to hire 230 more people. Because let me tell you this, and you'll see that even 230 people would be far too little for days like Black Friday. On Black Friday, over 185,000 background checks were done. On Black Friday alone. That's not the day before. That's not the day after. Just Black Friday. Now, we already have staff who try to keep up on the large number of background checks that come in. But, in the case like Dylan Roof, he timed out on background checks. If you don't remember Dylan Roof, he's the guy who was waving the Confederate flag in his Facebook profile pictures, and he's a white supremacist. And he timed out on the background checks, was able to go buy his gun, and he shot up a church in Charleston, South Carolina, during church service. And this is a guy who also claims to be Christian as well. Not that we're getting into that can of worms, but, he is. So it's not just Muslim terrorists. It's not just Muslims who are committing these crimes. We also have Christians. So if we would have had more people doing background checks, instead of after the FBI contacting the store and saying, hey, don't sell Dylan Roof that gun. We suspect that he might use it for something wrong. Don't sell it to him. And the gun store said, well, sorry, we already sold it to him. Well, somebody like Dylan Roof might not be able to get that gun. He might not be able to carry out his acts as easily. He might not be able to go and shoot up a church or shoot up a school. So increasing the number of people to do the background checks will prevent people from just timing out of the background check. But we have conservatives like Andrea Tantaranos from Fox News, or Tommy Lauren, who's with The Blaze, and she's also on another media outlet. They criticized President Obama for crying about first graders being killed. As if first graders, or dead kids in general, isn't something to shed a tear about. How heartless do you have to be to say, oh, no, they're for their first graders, the person who shot them and ended their life was exercising their Second Amendment right. And, if we had more people in the school, then maybe those little dead babies, those little dead kids would still be alive. How heartless do you have to be? I mean, we could have prevented some of the mass shootings that had happened in 2015 alone. 372 mass shootings of them, I think, is the correct number. In 2015 alone. That's at least 4 dead people. That's what a lot of places constitute a mass shooting to be. As at least 4 dead people. We had 372 mass shootings in 2015 alone. And yeah, there were some kids who were killed in this. But no, don't you dare shed a tear. You gotta be tough. You gotta suck it up. You gotta go out there and you just gotta let everybody have a gun. Absolutely absurd, these people who are criticizing President Obama for crying about these dead kids. That's what he's crying about. He's crying about these dead kids that it seems like nobody cares about. on the conservative side in the media or in Congress, that nobody cares that their life was cut short. That's what he's crying about. He's not crying just to get a couple more attentions or a couple more retweets or a couple more clicks on his video. He doesn't care about that. I mean, he has a duty to the American people to try to help protect us and help keep us safe. And what we have going on right now is failing. So that's why this executive action is coming into place. Because we have the ability to keep terrorists from getting weapons, from getting assault rifles. But we have Congress who votes against that. Who say, oh no, if you're a terrorist, you're okay. You go buy that gun. You do what you want with it. We don't care. As long as you make the NRA or you make the gun manufacturers a little bit more money. And that way that money will trickle back to us. That's what we care about. And that's what Andrew Tantaranos and Tommy Lauren, that's what they care about as well. They care about the money. They don't care about these dead kids. They don't care about the armed insurrections going on in Oregon. They don't care. What they care about is fear-mongering, because fear-mongering makes them money. And they don't use facts. They peddle this BS day in and day out. And then when somebody calls them out, they respond back with, oh, well, you know, he's just a bleeding heart liberal, and he called me a fearmongerer, or he called me a racist, or he called me anti-Islam, or he called me homophobic. Oh, boo-hoo. Hey, I'm sorry, but if the shoe fits, I'm going to put it on your hoof. But, you know what I say to these people? I say, here's a straw. Suck it up. Start being responsible for your viewers and give them real facts instead of peddling this crap that you give them day in and day out. That's why we have people like the ones who shoot up the Planned Parenthoods every year or who try to burn them down, because we have this hate and we have this fear that's peddled by these ignorant turds. Absolutely ridiculous. And then we have conservatives who think that President Obama is chipping away at our rights. Absolutely not true. If somebody shouldn't have a gun because of their crimes that they have committed, because they are a violent criminal, or if they are on the terrorist watch list and we suspect them to commit acts of terror in the future, why in the world would you not want to err on the side of caution? Oh, that's right, because they don't care about that. They care about the money that's coming in their pockets. If they truly did care about America, if they truly were Americans, they would say, hey, my brothers and my sisters, my kids and my neighbors, my aunts and my uncles, the people that I care about, the people that I have empathy for that live in my country, I want them to be safe. I want us to err on the side of caution and spend a little bit more time before we just issue a gun to every single person. They would be saying stuff like that if they didn't care about the money. But they don't, because they do care about the money. That's all they care about. That's all people like that are on the Fox News or the Blaze, that's all they care about, is how much more ratings can we get. They've tapped into this wonderful ignorant stream. And you can even see it in Donald Trump, in his poll numbers. Because they say these outlandish things that most of us step back and we go, did I hear that right? Did they really just say that even if you're suspected to be a terrorist, that you should get a gun? If you're a criminal, that you should get a gun? If that you just want a gun for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what size it is, that you should have it. Did I really hear it right that they were criticizing President Obama for crying about dead kids? Most of us step back and we go, hey, that's not right. But the thing about it is they have this three-pronged hook. They give you a little bit of facts, they give you a lot of BS, and they give you a lot of fear. And that reels in a lot of people. And I get it, it works. It works very well for kind of the lower denominators of people, kind of the ones who give in to the conspiracy theories or all this hate that we see from Fox News and the Blaze and Trump and other people like this. But you know what? These people from Fox News or the Blaze or Donald Trump, these are the same type of people that were shouting about the death panels with Obamacare. You guys remember that? When we had Obamacare that was about to roll out, and Fox News goes, "Oh, well, you better be afraid of the death panels. You know, your grandmother who's sitting in that nursing home, she's going to have to go in front of a medical review board and find out if she has to be turned into Soylent Green or not." Do you guys remember that? If you haven't seen the movie Soylent Green, sorry for ruining that for you. But that's basically what they're saying, is that, oh, if you're old and you're not useful to America, President Obama is going to murder you or your grandmother or your family members. So don't accept Obamacare. Just go against it at all costs. Well, hey, it looked like that wasn't true at all. Did they apologize? Absolutely not. Did they say, "Oh, no, yep, you caught us in a lie"? No, they sure didn't. Some of them, even a year after Obamacare came out, people on Fox News were still talking about death panels. Thankfully, that talk has sort of subsided. There's still ignorance that pops up here and there, but the same people who say that President Obama is chipping away at our rights are the same people who shouted in 2014 about no-go zones in Europe and in Dearborn, Michigan. Do you guys remember that? I'm sure that you do. It's fairly recent. Where, oh, if you're white or if you're Christian or if you're a police officer, you can't go to the no-go zones. These are areas that are secured by Muslims, and they will kill anybody that comes in there that they don't think is Muslim or isn't Muslim enough. They're going to kill him. Well, guess what? It turned out that wasn't real at all. That those are completely fake. Even after the Paris attack, Fox News tried to start this trend up again, saying that there was no-go zones. Thankfully, the people of Paris went to those no-go zones and posted either tweets or videos on YouTube saying, "Hey, this area that you said is a no-go zone, I'm in it right now," and they do dances or they sing or they're just free people in these no-go zones, supposedly. Absolutely not true. But you know what is chipping away at America? It's this fear-mongering. It's this hate. It's this acceptance of not fact-checking. It's this acceptance of going, "Oh, yeah, you know, they make kind of good sense on some of this stuff, but not the other stuff, so they must be right." No, you know, people like me, I say, go out and you fact-check what I say. Go out and see if I'm talking BS. And if I am, I want you to call me out on it. But, you know, if I'm saying something wrong, I'm going to correct it. If there's new information that comes along, I'm going to correct it. But we have people who want the terrorists to have more guns. They want people who are going to shoot up a place have more guns. They want people like John Ritzheimer to have more guns so they can have more armed rebellions against the government. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about anybody except for the money that comes in their pocket. But now with the policies that Obama's putting in place, perhaps we can save a few more lives. Perhaps people who were upset with the 3-day waiting period before can look back on that and go, "You know what? The 3-day waiting period was actually really good when it was enacted. It saved a lot of lives. So maybe there's something to this. Let's check it out. Let's learn more about it. And let's move forward. Let's try to save some lives here." That's what this comes down to. You know, I mean, we had the 3-day waiting period, and people from Fox News and other conservative outlets, they were upset way back when we enacted the 3-day waiting period. And I get it. You know, it's change. You know, you have the older generations that they don't like change, or the ignorant people who don't like change. But the 3-day waiting period has saved thousands, if not millions of lives. Because what we had is we had a period with a lot of mass shootings, and we couldn't figure out why. So we had psychologists do studies, and they found out that what happens is people would get angry, they'd get upset, and then they would just go to the gun store, they'd buy a gun, they'd go back to where the altercation happened, and they would end lives, or end their own life. But when we put the 3-day waiting period in, it caused people to pause. It caused them to think, "Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't go back when I get this gun in a couple of days and murder somebody that I just had an argument with. Or maybe things aren't so bad. Maybe there's going to be hope. At the end of the 3 days, maybe I don't actually need that gun to end my own life." That's what the 3-day waiting period was designed to do, and it's worked very well. It saved thousands and, again, if not millions of lives. And thankfully, we have people who would have had their life ended by somebody else or themselves if this wasn't around. But if you think that these regulations are going to take your guns away, you have no idea what you're talking about. If you think that President Obama is going to send armed goons to your house to take your guns away, you've given in to the fear. You've given in to the anger of the conservative media, and you need to wake up. You need to say, hey, what's actually going on here? Somebody tell me. I'm here to tell you that nobody's going to take your guns. I'm a veteran. I'm a disabled veteran at that. And I support the Second Amendment. I wouldn't support an executive action by President Obama if it was going to take away people's guns. Absolutely not. Now, I will be honest with you, there are going to be regulations that will prevent or restrict more powerful handguns. That is something that is in there. And I'm iffy on that. I don't know if that should be. But, I don't think that... I think that... Here, we'll put it this way. I think that everybody should have the right to own a gun. However, I don't think that every gun should be owned by everyone. And what I mean by that is, what do you need an assault rifle for? Oh, well, there's no need for it. There's a want. And I get that. People say that, oh, it doesn't matter what I need it for. I have the right to own it. No, you have the right to bear arms. It doesn't say which arms or all arms. It just says you have the right to bear arms. And that's fine. You can own pistols. You can own shotguns. You can own rifles. But you don't need the assault rifle. You don't need the AR-15. You don't need the AK-47. You can defend your house with a pistol. You can defend your house with a shotgun or even a rifle. But to go out and say that you need it, oh, God, I need it. Come on, man. You're not fooling anybody. But what we've been doing so far simply hasn't been working. So we need to look at different ways to change this. If, in fact, we didn't have the laziest Congress in U.S. history, if we didn't have money ruling politics, we would be looking at the overall majority of people who want real gun regulation and saying, yes, we will come and help you. Here's what we're going to do to help you, and actually follow through with it. Instead of Congress having the ability to put a pause on people on the terrorist watch list from being able to buy a gun until cleared. We could have enacted that. We could have followed through with that. Instead, no. The NRA put too much money behind it, and other groups put too much money behind not voting for it, that it failed. And we still have people who are dying because of this. So here's my proposal, and I'll leave you on this thought. Now, I think that shooting the assault rifles or the heavy weaponry, it's a lot of fun. I was in the Army, and it is a lot of fun. But here's a solution that maybe could make people meet me halfway. Why not have government-sponsored or government-run shooting ranges? You can either bring your own gun or you can rent one at the shooting range. Whichever kind of gun is there, they'll have more heavy weaponry. And you know what? Even at a price under very, very intense observation, maybe you could even fire a rocket launcher. That'd be pretty cool. You spend maybe $5,000-$6,000, fire a rocket launcher. But, you have a trained professional there standing right next to you with it, so that way you can't turn and blow up the entire building or something like that. That'd be amazing. And it would generate tons of money. Could you imagine how much money people would spend just to shoot a rocket launcher or to go and shoot the 50 cal from the United States Army or a Mark 19? People would throw gobs of money at an idea like this. If you want to stimulate the economy, that'd be one heck of a way to do it. But I think that would actually be a good idea. You have people, they pay a cost to rent the gun for a short time. There's also classes that could be taught here. And part of what the people are paying for when they come to the gun range would be to upkeep the weapons and to help further education. So this would be an amazing idea, and I think a lot of people could meet me halfway on it if we had government-sponsored firing ranges, where as long as you're legal to use the gun, go for it, have at it. Or maybe we could even have a program for questionable people. And I know that in the eyes of conservatives that are far, far right-wing, that nobody's questionable. Nobody's questionable. Even the suspected terrorists. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. They can have a gun. Let them use whatever they want. But even people who are questionable, maybe we could have a program for them as well. Kind of an education and maybe a way to earn your right back if you go to one of these places. So think on that for a little bit, and I'm going to leave you with that. Let me know what you think about this podcast in the comments on Twitter. You can find me there at CITZSpeak. If I am wrong on something, call me out. Let me know. And I'll give you credit. I don't mind. But I think I do fairly good research. But find me on Twitter at CITZSpeak. That's SitSpeak. And thank you very much for listening. Have a great day.